Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun Christmas scroll saw project video, have another amazing design picked out by Steve Good. I've already got all the pattern printed out and prepped and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and we're going to be using more of the 3/4 inch pine that I can easily pick up. You could use any material you want in this project, and keep in mind the pattern pack you download calls for 1/2 inch material. I wanted it to be 3/4 inch material, that way it would be a little bit more robust with it being pine wood, and you know that's softer and can break off, and some of the details in this project are fragile. So what we have here is an amazing Christmas tree shape encapsulating the famous quote and verse from the song, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." Indeed, I hope we all get to have a great Christmas 2023. And in case anyone was wondering, this pattern by Steve came out in 2017, so it is an older pattern of his. It's not a newer one, but there you see all of the beautiful detail in it. And like I was saying, there's some fragile details in the snowflakes that's in the middle here. The star at the top will be fragile and could potentially break off. And then the base here has a nice Christmas ribbon around it, all encapsulated in the shape of a Christmas tree. I actually have 3 forms of Christmas trees this year, so really neat. And the base is also going to be some 3/4 inch pine, and we will cut all this out and we will glue the tree to the base, and then after it's stained and clear coated and all that dries, it can be proudly displayed on a shelf, desk, or countertop. So really neat. And since everything is prepared, we're going to move the camera so we can drill all the pilot holes required so we can indeed have ourselves a merry little Christmas. Let's get started. And over here on the workbench, we are taking the Seiko Scroller's drill and drilling out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting with a small drill bit. And you will note I am using a backer board behind the scroll work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes. And this will just help us locate those pilot holes once we get over to scrolling. And there is several internal cuts on this project, but once we get over to the scroll saw, we will take our time and get through it all. Over here at the scroll saw, I am using a number 5 ultra reverse tooth blade for all the scrolling, and it will cut through the 3/4 inch pine exceptionally well with minimal chip out. Beginning with some of the smaller details toward the center of the pattern before moving to the outward details. And there are some small internal cuts in this project, and sometimes it will feel like it takes you longer to thread the blade and retension it than to do the actual cut. But all of these little cuts add up to great detail. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. And keep in mind, this is an older pattern of his from years ago. And when you download the PDF pattern pack, it does suggest that you use 1/2 inch material for the tree here as well as the base. And overall, as a visual, I think that would look better, but I do like to use pine, and I'm using 3/4 inch thickness here because of some of the fragile details in this project, and pine does have a tendency to be fragile and can break easily. But I'm just taking my time and letting the blade do the work. And again, I just like working with pine because it takes both stain and paint exceptionally well. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And now we are doing the final internal cut here. And then it will be time to do the final long outside cut and release the piece from the waste wood. But before we get to that cut, I will go on and quickly cut out the base, which is also 3/4 inch pine. And you see I'm still using that same blade. And now we can begin to release the scroll work. And there are some tight V-turns in this project to create some great detail. And you guys know how I tackle a tight V-turn. I go into one side of a V and then back the blade out and go down the other side to create as tight a point in V as I possibly can. Cutting out this project reminded me of all of the Christmas trees we've had throughout the years. We've had little 4-foot trees, we've had 6-foot trees, which we have now. We've had live trees, we've had artificial trees and pre-lit trees. But every Christmas tree we put up has sentimental value to it with the heirloom Christmas ornaments that have been passed around through the family. Coming around the snowflake there, and once we get to the end here, all of the scroll work on this project will be complete, and then we can move to sanding and finishing. Over here at the workbench, we will remove the piece from the waste wood and get our first glimpse of what the finished project will look like. But then it will be time for sanding with 180 grit Klingspor sandpaper and the vibrating palm sander, and I'm using small circular motions to sand here. And for the base, after I sand it, I'll give it a slight round over there with the sander. And using pine, it does generate some fuzzies, so I'm using a sanding stick there to remove those and do any touch-up sanding. And we will glue the tree to the base with CA glue and activator. And I'll let it sit and cure for around 5 minutes to make sure the glue is fully set. But then we will move to staining with Minwax wood stain, and this is Golden Pecan wood stain. I get a lot of questions about which stain I use, but it is Golden Pecan. But we will wipe everything down and hang it on a hook above the stove to dry. And while it's drying, here is the family Christmas tree with the family ornaments that have been passed around, as well as ornaments that are filled with nostalgia, as well as the peace doves from Grandma and Grandpa's funerals. A very sentimental Christmas tree for us. And then I also, this year, have a Christmas tree in the train room, and this holds all of my vintage train ornaments, as well as a Christmas train at the base. But a lot of sentimental value here too with the train ornaments. And then the final tree that is set up is the little miniature tree in the workshop on the speaker that plays music throughout the year. And I've got it set up right next to the Jolly Roger and the scroll saw. But now that the stain has dried, we can move to finishing with several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And once it's dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas tree cut out completely on the scroll saw with some fantastic detail. Thank you, Steve Good, for another amazing pattern from your pattern catalog. Keep in mind, again, this is an older pattern from his blog website, and I just went back in his archives and looked for the pattern, and I believe, as I said at the beginning, it's from 2017. So just keep that in mind. I like doing some of the older patterns to showcase those over here on the channel and the previous art that Steve Good has offered. It took me around an hour and 15 or an hour and 20 minutes to scroll everything out, and because I took my time and let the blade do the work, everything came out nice and crisp, and you can easily tell what everything is. The star at the top, the two snowflakes there at the middle that are very tedious, which is why I like to use the 3/4 inch material here instead of the called for 1/2 inch material, and then the bow at the base, and then of course the base itself. As I said, all this is 3/4 inch pine because it's readily available in my area. The pack you download when you download the pattern calls for 1/2 inch material, and you could of course use that. You could use 1/2 inch oak, 1/2 inch poplar, walnut, maple, cherry, whatever you want to use, and you would not even have a need to stain it like I've done here in the video. I just wanted to add a splash of color to it, and I used a very light Golden Pecan stain from Minwax to stain everything here, and I like because it's so light it does not mask off the natural grain of the wood you are staining, if that makes any sense. And then the Rust-Oleum clear gloss really brought everything out and made everything pop and give it a nice coat of of protection as well. So really, really cool. Again, there's a lot of detail in this, all encapsulated in the shape of a traditional Christmas tree. And I believe this pattern has several uses for versatility, and that is why I love scroll saw patterns. It's because of their versatility. I believe if you had access to a laser engraver, you could shrink this pattern down and make it into Christmas ornaments or even magnets for the refrigerator. If you have access to a projector, you could enlarge it and make it a piece of yard decor for the Christmas season. And I believe if you wanted to stack cut these out of 1/4 inch material instead of something thicker like I have here, you could take away the base and make it and have a backer board on it to be a wall hanging. But I like with the base here, it can easily freestand of its own accord on a shelf, desk, or countertop for several display uses, and it can even be backlit, you know, to give it a nice Christmassy look. So really, really cool. I had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys like watching this video. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. I hope all my followers and subscribers indeed have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Absolutely. That's about all for this one. And remember, guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.